Everyone, welcome back to another Marvel Mystic Mayhem video. Today, I want to talk about the beta a bit, and I want to talk about 5 good things that I love about the beta, and 5 things that I think are, let's call it an opportunity to, hopefully have the developers work on between now and release. And hey, if you're good and you throw a like and a subscribe to this video, I might throw a couple of bonuses at the end. So let's get started. So my first good is going to be the Nightfall mode. Nightfall mode is where you go to battle bosses, basically. And this week, for example, we just switched into a new boss. It's called the Dragon Armor, and it's working incredibly different from the last boss. Last week's boss was this, green eyeball thing that had arms sticking out. You had to fight the arms to allow you to fight the eyeball. And this time with the dragon, you are going through a stage taking down enemies. And then when you go to use your team move on the dragon itself, eventually you get to pick between a more defensive option or a more offensive option. And so it just brought new variety to the gameplay. And I thought that was a really kind of cool idea and a way to switch up the bosses, from week to week. And I'm hoping that they have quite a few. And what's nice is this is something they can expand on. Even if they start with, let's just say 3 to 5, I'm not sure how many they have. Even if it's that few, in the future, they can just keep adding more and more and more with patches and content updates. So great feature, probably one of my favorite, aspects of the game as of right now. For my second pro, let's talk about character growth. I actually like most of the way, and you'll hear a little bit about the cons of these in a little bit, but I like the concept, the idea of how you grow these characters. So as you can see here, I've got a few level 30s, and if I go into the character, there's a few different ways that you level them. So one is just the basic character level. You spend these little sheets or whatever they're called, and that brings them up in line with your account level. Like many gacha games, you cannot exceed the account level as far as your characters go. So if you're level 30, you can get up to level 30. If you're 50, you can get to 50, but you wouldn't be able to exceed it. Then you have these skills. Skills, they use these different resources down here, but as you go through and level up, it opens up more options on leveling the skills in this kind of little tree that's right above it. So if you see here, I'll click on this buff, and I have to get up one more level to be able to level this to level 3. All the while, up above, certain things like this I think opened up maybe level 20, 21, I forget exactly, and I can level these up further at level 41, and I think that might be it. Yeah, 61 on the right. And so you're not just kind of finishing your leveling journey in that 25 to 30 range. You get a little bit more to look forward to as far as building your characters, later into the leveling. And then you also have gear that you can equip to your character. And these systems open up at different times. For example, Highlight opens up at 15, Artifacts I think was 25. And so for the things that you equip to your character, same thing. They have, a certain amount of levels they can go to. Matter of fact, yeah, looks like I had the what I needed to level up there since leveling to 30. And so like any game like this, as you level up, you gain more strength, you gain more stats. On the items here, you'll see as I level up, I have different, 3 different stats there, and it's random which of those stats will level up. So it gives you a reason to kind of collect these items and then trial for different ones for, just different stat spreads that may be more beneficial to some characters versus others, things like that. And then we have things like Soul Saga, which is where you spend your duplicates. So if you were to pull multiples of this character, you can come in here and hopefully over time fill out these different branches. And these will enhance your skills further. For example, at Heart 3, you get follow-up attacks reduce mana cost of Katana Slash by up to 4, which would make this a 1-cost spell, so it'd be very powerful. And then what else? Did I miss anything? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, yes, the actual character, rarity. I'm not sure what to call this. But you can get, and this is a far more limited resource, but you can get these resources here, which allow you to increase the star level. So, for example, this character starts as a 2-star character, or 2 diamond character, I guess. And I've already upgraded her 1 time to the 3 diamond variant, if you will. So character progression, I like it. I like that it's spread out over time and they introduce the systems over time. And it gives you something to strive for if you have a particular favorite or somebody in your lineup who's super strong that you really want to push forward. It's just, it's a good, thoughtful progression system. And that kind of leads me into the next point, which is team building. So this, I haven't dug in as far as I would like to, The stages just haven't been hard enough quite yet, short of maybe a couple. But what's really interesting is there are synergies between certain characters. And I'm going to give you my favorite example as of right now. So Lady Bullseye, she has a move here that costs 5 attack, which takes a bit to gain that mana within a match. But if you notice here, deals physical damage to an enemy, reduces the mana cost of the next katana slash by 1 whenever an ally performs a follow-up. Okay, not bad. Well, Psylocke, who, if you can't tell, happens to be one of my favorite characters, she does follow-ups. And so for her, you use her powers here, and basically she starts doing follow-up attacks. So if I have Psylocke in a team with Lady Bullseye, Psylocke is basically causing her top attack here to become more affordable. It can go down to 2 as of right now. And then with them, it just depends on the stage. I might throw a tank in there, I might throw a healer, or I like to throw Doppelganger, for example, because he has a dash move, which also causes them to become vulnerable, which makes them take more damage. So you lay him in, he causes them to take more damage. You've got Psylocke doing follow-up attacks, which then leads Lady Deathstrike to have her, really big, powerful move up for lesser cost, which is just all around more efficient. So there are synergies you can build. There's probably dozens of other ones, and a lot of people have probably figured out even cooler ones than I have. Like, for example, I know that Spider-Man has follow-ups, I believe, or if not him, someone else does. And so you could even stack those follow-ups further. But the point is simply, I think there is a reason to look at the different characters and think to yourself, hey, this sounds cool. How can I make this more than just a tank, a healer, or a DPS type situation? How do I bring synergy between these different characters? So I do like that. I think it's a good place where the game's at as far as that goes. This then brings me to the modes themselves. You can build these teams, have these great characters, but if there's nothing to do, really, who cares? And if you saw my last video, I kind of walked through the different modes. I've unlocked Fable Finds since then, but ultimately there is good variety here. Your bottom path here is predominantly your typical burn your stamina to progress your character, levels and skills, things like that. Again, pretty common stuff you're going to see in gacha games. And then you've got, your story mode, which, pretty self-explanatory. It's a story. It's got different challenges, different bosses. You've got Memento, which adds a little variety to that. It adds some tactical stages. You have Nightfall, which I talked about just a little bit ago. Game of Khonshu, lots of fun. I like this one. It's kind of like a roguelite type game. Certainly different than the other modes. It does kind of suck that it's fully auto battle, but it is what it is. And then even Fabled Finds is another kind of like mini boss mode. So different characters open up on different days of the week, except for I think maybe on Sunday they're all open. And so by coming in here, you've got a chance to get an artifact, and you get to try out different bosses, each day of the week, which I think is fun. It adds variety again. So mode variety, definitely enjoy. I appreciate that that's there. It's good that this isn't launching with just story and the basic dailies. I think that would have been a big loss to the game if that's how it launched. Thankfully not. And then finally, and this kind of goes back to characters, my final, really good point is I really do like the characters. Not just the leveling, but they all feel different, and that's important. Now, full disclosure, I haven't unlocked every single character. I have pulled with all the gems they've given us, which is 1,000 a day. I think it gets you maybe 3 multis or 2 multis or something like that between that and what you accumulate. And I still haven't unlocked everybody. It's also not the end of the trial period, so we haven't been given every single character every single day. That comes, daily. And so there are characters I haven't tried. But when I look at this, first of all, the designs are interesting. Just kind of going through them. They've got cool outfits. They got good animations, things like that. And if I were to say play Doctor Strange, I've got a mechanic where I can choose 3 cards, and one might be a buff, a debuff, and a heal. Or if I use Juggernaut, he's just a freaking powerhouse tank. If I use Hulk, he's a tank who has a heal as an ultimate, which helps sustain. Doppelganger, he's a debuffer / attacker. Everybody is different. Storm, one of my favorites right now. She is just a debuff queen, and then you can throw things on her to make her attack stronger when she debuffs. So there's not a 100 characters or anything like that, but they do have good variety between them. They're fun to look at. Animations are great. I love their ultimate moves. And so from a visual standpoint, I'm enjoying the characters. So that's it. That's my, 5. There's other things I enjoy, but I want to keep the list, somewhat brief, so this isn't an hour-long video. But those are the 5 goods. I want to talk about the 5 opportunities. I hesitate to call it bad because, again, this is the beta. There's time before launch. Things can change. It's just things that if by some random chance a developer watched this would be the critiques that I would have today. So the first one goes back to character development, and it is actually this Soul Saga piece. It's too restrictive. I'm okay with using duplicates in games like this and having that grant powers. It's pretty common to see that in gacha games. Maybe one day some other developer will think of something cooler. But the issue I have with it is, for example, on your 2 stars, it takes 5 of these duplicates to do 1 upgrade. As I mentioned before, during this trial period or during this beta period, we're given 1,000 gems a day. Plus I've gotten like surveys for like, hundreds more and quite a few of them. We've got a bunch of other mail with it, plus all the starter stuff that, how a gacha game goes. You get a lot of resources at the beginning. And despite all of these pulls, I've only gotten enough to do 1 of these soul upgrades, whatever you want to call it, for this character. It's not enough. Frankly, on these 2 stars, it probably should just be a 1 and done, or maybe 2. Definitely not 5. But if I think about how much I've pulled, I've only been able to do maybe 3 characters to have 1 of these soul upgrades. So either the rates need to be adjusted to be higher for 2-star characters, or the cost here needs to be decreased so that it's not so prohibitive. Otherwise, people could spend years and probably still never pull enough to get their characters, fully attuned or whatever you want to call this thing. Now on the 3 stars, the one good thing is it only takes 1. So if I go into Strange here, I believe he's a 3-star, you'll see that it just takes 1 duplicate. But caveat here, the rate I believe is 1.5% to pull a 3-star. It's very low. So while you need only 1, the math probably doesn't work in your favor as well, if that makes sense. So I do hope that they adjust this economy when it comes to the soul shards, or whatever you want to call them. Otherwise, people are just going to walk around with underpowered characters compared to what they could be. And even from a whale territory, I don't think I could go to a whale and recommend, unless shop prices are just absurdly favorable, to upgrade their characters that much. The luck you would need just wouldn't justify the wallet. And that talk about economy brings me to the second part of it that I think is needing a tweak, if you will. And that is, as much as I do love, as I mentioned earlier, the progression side of things, it is a little cost prohibitive. So one of the things they're doing in beta that's nice is I can take a character, I can reset them for free, refund all the materials, and dump into another character. Now, I would suspect that will not be the case in the live service. Maybe they'll let you do it on a limited trial, maybe pay for it. I don't really know what they would do there. But as you can see, I've got 8 characters that are level 30, which sounds like a lot, but a lot of them don't have their skills leveled up. They certainly don't have those soul things leveled up. A lot of them don't have artifacts leveled up. And so even though their character level right now looks like it's on par, when you think about what it takes to make a character powerful, most of these are actually low. And if it wasn't for me swapping the different items around and swapping the materials around and then de-leveling and then putting into another character, I wouldn't even be able to try most of these people out. And so I think what needs to be done there is possibly through either the dailies, and it could be the dailies maybe costing less stamina, or maybe they just return greater amount of rewards. Granted, yes, I know that when you get to the very top levels, it is more rewards, but I can only assess the game at level 30, and at level 30, I'm feeling the crunch. But in some way, shape, or form, I do think there needs to be some sort of a rebalancing here, because there's a lot of variety in teams you need. Some teams need physical, some teams need special attack, some teams really want you to have a tank present. There's been a couple that I've ran where you could feel the need for a healer. You didn't absolutely have to, but it was really the make or break between a really good score. And to push that variety, I really do think there needs to be a rebalancing in the materials that you're getting, throughout your journey and whatever you want to call it. This brings me to my third point, and I kind of touched on it a little bit before, but the pull rates they're not good. The pull economy, and this is always a touchy subject with gacha games because the developers, they need to make money. They do that through the gacha systems and, that little bit of fear of missing out, FOMO, things like that. But I do think they've missed the mark here. And so if I look at this, the 3-star drop rate is 1.5%, which, I mean, that's not horrendous when it comes to gacha games. But at least for this banner, and maybe this will be different with different event banners, their pity system is kind of garbage, to be frank. So the way it works is once you do 80 pulls, you can exchange for a random 3-star hero or highlight card. And that's the key there, random. I can't go through a full 80 pulls and even get what I want. There's no 50-50, nothing of that nature. And so as far as I can tell, it really is, you could pull, and still somehow not have the luck to ever get the character you want. Again, it's beta, and maybe like on different kinds of event banners where perhaps there's a single character event, I don't know. Maybe on those it'll be a different system, but at least for this banner, like if this was a beginner banner, my day one recommendation would be to not pull on it. It's to save your gems for something with a better, pity rate, at least for the early game, because you're just going to burn through your gems, your keys, whatever, and that's it, you're gone. The other banner is the highlight banner, and it shares the same resources at the same cost, but you need cards for every character. And I think honestly the adjustment I would see here is it should cost less. I think your character banner should be the most, cost expensive, key expensive, whatever you want to call it, resource or resource user, banner type if you will. And things like highlights, which is effectively gear, granted, can be very powerful gear. They do really cool things. I don't think that either A, they should share the same resources, or B, that they should cost the same resources. So those would be the adjustments I would make on, the pull system, but time will tell if they do something differently for, single character event type banners, assuming they're doing that. They got to be doing something, every game like this does. All right, so next up, something I really don't like is the auto battle AI. Let me grab you an example of what I'm talking about here. So if I go to Rune Raid, this guy right here has a mechanic, and his mechanic is he has these 2 crystals, one on either side of himself, and as long as they're on the field, he's invulnerable. Well, the auto battle AI will keep fighting him half the time instead of the crystals. Or even if you're manually controlling it, the auto attack, which you have no control over, will still target him instead of the crystals. And so when you're sitting on a stage and you really need something to be focused down, you have no way to do it unless you use the special attack yourself. And stages have, scores based on time, things like that, or they just have something that's going to explode on you and you just really need to get it away from you, and you just cannot. And that's one example. Another example is some of the modes are full auto battle. You have absolutely no choice in what you do. You basically will do something to set up the fight, and then you just sit there and watch it. And there's been times where, for example, you'll have a map where you are sitting in a zone that makes you attack greater, so you have stronger attack, and the enemy is in a zone with higher defense. So the obvious play is to draw them to you and make them go into the attack place so that your buffed up attacks are doing more damage to them. And even with range characters, on those stages I'll play full range, thinking they won't move. No, they will walk out of the attack buff, and the way the stage is set up is that leaves the enemy in their defense zone. And so now my characters are basically penalizing themselves while giving the enemy a benefit, and I can do nothing for it. I am just going to have to sit there and just watch them either slowly erode the health of these enemies or fail. It's going to be one or the other. And in the PvP type modes, it's especially frustrating because you'll see a character with like a sliver of health, nothing left, and I just need one character to do one move to that one thing, and they're just like, nah, I'm good with that. I don't want to hit them. And I've lost so many matches for what I cannot control. If you want to be full auto and you want to have the AI do the work for certain modes, fine, it is what it is. That's your choice, as you create the game. But then at least make the AI smart. Have it do something intelligent. So it's very much an annoyance if you can't tell by my voice, but the AI auto battle system in this is pretty bad. And it brings me, and it kind of ties into my final point, which is PvP. Now, I'm not a huge PvPer, but I do respect and appreciate that many people are. And there's 2 PvP modes currently in the game. One is Game of Khonshu over here, which is the one where you basically get artifacts, relics, things like that, and you use them to strengthen your characters in between matches, and you try to win, I think, 8 or 9 matches through your little journey. And the other one is currently an event. Let me find it here. It is right here. It's Mystic Clash. And so this one, you have to do quite a few battles. So I'm not going to go into it right now, but basically, yeah, see, I can't show you the full map, but I think it's 6 or 7 fights, something of that nature. And both of these modes are fully auto battle. So again, it ties back to my last point of in a full auto battle scenario, when the AI is not that smart, it causes for a lot of frustration. And the fact that these are meant to be, I guess, PvP modes, it's not really. Yes, I see the name of a person I'm going against. So it'll matchmake you and say you're fighting, super cool person 1, 2, 3. And I'm assuming, I don't know this for sure, I'm assuming they're picking their lineups and they're picking their, relics or whatever it is for the particular mode. But again, I'm not really fighting them. There's no choice in what we do. There's no testing myself versus them. And the other thing is the PvP is random. There's no taking my characters that I built up into a PvP mode to see how they do, at least yet that I can find. And yes, I know there's arguments around, well, then it's going to become a whale territory. Yeah, some of that stuff you can solve with brackets and things, but ultimately it doesn't matter because it just doesn't happen. It's not even an option to argue about. So if you're a PvPer as of right now, I don't see a good PvP mode for you, which is unfortunate because I think it could be a lot of fun to put your team building expertise against someone else's team building expertise. So those are my 5, again, I'll call them opportunities. And tell you what, if you hit that like and subscribe, stick around right now. I'll give you a couple of extras. And if not, why not? Just hit the buttons. It helps me out, helps other people find the video. So there's 2 things I really want to see them keep. Let me turn off my camera because one's hidden right here. The first one is this 7-day missions. I really hope they keep a system like this in the game, even if it has to be the Battle Pass system. I've not seen announcements as to what the Battle Pass system might be. I'm assuming they will have one. But this one is cool because you do various missions, and by doing so, you collect these little X tokens. And when you get to 40, you get a 3-star character. Even if this is monthly, or maybe it's bi-monthly, I don't know. But if they did something like this to guarantee you a certain 3-star character, worst case scenario is you get them. Or you get, maybe you pulled them, on a banner and you get a duplicate to use on their soul upgrade thing, whatever it's called. I really love this. It's a beta feature, but I really do hope that this makes it into the live game. Plus you get a bunch of pulls, things like that. So let's hope that sticks around. It's one of my favorite things. And then the other one is in the events, and this one right now is definitely closed beta test. It's the Stream Guard Assemble. So this one is every day they give you a new character, and it's a trial character. And what's interesting with these trial characters is whatever progress you make on them, if you pull the real character, it just basically churns on a flag that says, hey, you've got the real deal now. All your stuff stays. You don't lose anything. You have to re-level them, nothing like that. And on here, you have some restrictions on what you can and can't do. You can't increase their stars, those little diamonds and things like that. So even if they have to be slightly more restrictive, like maybe they only do the 2 stars and you get a 3-star once a month, or maybe it's only a couple that you even get throughout a month. Like you have to log in so many days and you get ultimately 2. If they did a version of this, I think it would do a lot to get people to try certain characters and be like, oh, when I see a banner, hopefully with a good pull rate, I want to go for them. I think that would be phenomenal. But as of right now, it's a closed beta thing. It's a cool closed beta thing. I just hope it makes it in some fashion to, the live service game. So there you have it. That's my 5 current, really positives and room for opportunity with those couple of bonus features thrown in there. I hope you enjoyed this video. We got, I think, a week or 2 left of beta, something like that. So I'm going to still play around, see what kind of fun stuff I can find and share with you all. And until I see you in the next video, all the best to you, my friends.